Good morning, sir. Good morning, classmates. My name is Commander Sirakis. My group mates will be discuss Lesson 7, which is entitled Revolts and Revolution. Lesson 7 talks about revolts of Jigo Silang of Ilocos and Apolinario de la Cruz, or more popularly known as Hermamo Poli of Tayabas. In this lesson, we will also revisit the Kikiki and Philippine Revolution by going back to relevant documents and accounts. However, I will be focusing on my topics entitled Jigo Silang's letter to the British and Hermano Polis Carfrodia de San Jose through its hymns. Let's first tackle the lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, the student will be able to 1. Relate details and circumstances and selected Philippine revolts that took place during the Spanish period. 2. Analyze the content and context of criminal resources pertinent to selected Philippine revolts. 3. Organize information on Philippine revolts and metrics that identifies their main features. So to start, Jigo Silang was born in the province of Pangasinan. He was orphaned at young age and lived in Paris. Rest of began working as messenger. He frequently traveled to Manila while receiving considerable education under the friars. He married a young widow from affluent background, Gabriela. One of the most significant context Silang revolt known as many students was brief British occupation of Manila in 1762. So in 1762, this time is nailog na sa Britain ang Manila sa kawot sa Spanish. Witnessing the invasion, silang felt nga kailangan na sa Ilocos na protektahan ilahang kaugalingon kay tungod dili na sila kaya i-defend sa Spaniards because nakuha naman sa Britain ang Manila. Silang insisted that since the British captured the power of Spaniards, the people should stop paying their tax and instead focusing resources defending themselves from the British who would take their Catholic faith away from them. Kung sa kinagibuhat ni Jigo Silang, anang istorya na si Renato Constantino nga ang gibuhat ni Silang is unang hakbang sa reformist or i-reform ibalik ang dating nga setup sa Pilipinas. Silang wanted to reform his province, however, Spaniards refused to give his particular demands such as replacement current alcalde mayor Antonio Zabala to Thomas Milian and the old guardian of Cabrera, the abolition of personal services, the expulsion of all Spaniards and Spanish mestizos and his province. Silang started to take province. Silang started a bolder action. For his stance, he expelled the vegan when his swallows principals refused to support his anti-Spanish invaders. He ordered the abolition of tributes, forced labor to free the people from their obligation to serve principals. He also imposed a fine 100 pesos from each priest. Unfortunately, upon receiving an ultimatum from the Spaniards, Silang turned to British for protection and alliance. This alliance is the best demonstrated in the letter that Silang wrote to British Governor of Manila, Johnson Drake. Silang flattered the British offers his alliance. He wrote, "Honorable Sir, with the greatest pleasures and satisfaction imaginable have I received the news of having conquered the capital by force of arms, with so easy which and undoubtedly been an effort of your good conduct and the permission of Almighty. I have been informed that notwithstanding the fatal misfortune of the city with your lordship and endowed with so many great qualification and compassion, has behaved in the most generous manner of the poor Indians who were the town of paying punctually for their labor without requiring any order. Acknowledge then they obey and be loyal as they should to His Majesty George III, King of Britain, and for obedience, your lordship, please allow them freedom to enlarge the trade commerce for their own benefit, cares them prevent the hurt Spaniards not by your own troops. I have thought proper from this moment to decide myself to the service God of Majesty King George III, who I acknowledge for my King and Master, for which purpose I have under my command my countrymen in this province of Ilocos, where I was born, who have agreed to my opinion and acknowledged, and all unanimously came out without the least show and necess concern upon account of the confidence. The response in your lordship freeing them full taxes and laborious works all they beg is your lordship will consent to let them maintain their parish priest and live as Christians and Catholics. So the summary of 2 paragraphs ang Jigo Silang's letter is nag-form siya og allegiance sa British government. Iyang gipakita iyang loyalty sa gobernador, iyang gidayeg kung giunsa niya pagsakop sa Britain ang Manila, and also he started negotiating for people, for example magkalaya sa taxes o grabe nga trabaho. He also claimed na leader siya sa province of Ilocos ug nagsalig ng mga tao sa iyang mga opinion. If your lordship pleases, I will seize them for secure, have them ready whenever your lordship is demand them, as proof of my fidelity, submission, and sincere affection to send the lordship the following present: 12 loaves of sugar, 12 baskets of calame, 200 cakes or bowls of chocolate. Also acquaint your lordship that this province is provided following effects: paddy with cattle, good cocoa, wine, sugar, onion, 4 horses, cotton, canned liquor, cold basha, and of wine from the grape, other useful. As I am informed, your lordship is highly incensed against the Augustinian friars upon account of obstacle they put in your progress. If your lordship please, I will seize them secure your progress if I ready whenever your lordship please demand them. Many were the wrong we have received to them because they pursued if we were wild boars. Your lordship, most painful subject. So para ma-convince ni Jigo Silang ang British, he added on his letter na siya gifts such as sukal, kalamay, and chocolate. Ug iya pod ipanghinambog nga dato ang Ilocos kay daghan sila onions, garlic, curry, etc. And also para ma-convince pagyud ni sila og ayo, he offered to fight the Augustinian, which is kalaban sa Britain. To sum up this topic, Jigo Silang revolt was rebelled against the abusers. He wanted to replace Alcalde Mayor because gusto niya i-end ang forced labor and help his fellow Ilocos noon. So now let us continue with the second primary documents, which is entitled Hermano Puli Cofradia de San Jose through its hymns.
Good day everyone, my topic is entitled Hermano Pools Cofradia de San Jose, Truth It Hymns. So, to start, in 19th century, Catholicism was already accepted far and wide because most of Luzon and the Visayas had been well obtained to the Spanish colonial society. The historic 1841 revolt led by Apolinario de la Cruz or Jimano Pol in Tayabas is one instance of revolt that contained Catholic inspiration. Historians call this kind of revolt a millenarian movement. Millenarian is relating to or believing in Christian millenarianism. Hermano Pol was a native of Tayabas province, now Quezon, who aspired to live the monastic life or monk or priest. He was born in 1814 and went to Manila to pursue his dream. However, being an Indio precluded him from entering the monastery because in that era, Indios has less opportunities. Kay kadto manggod panahon na kay ang mga Indio mayroong opportunidad nga mahatag sa ilaha kay Indio manggod sila. So, because Hermano was precluded for entering the monastery, he decided to work as a lay brother in San Jose de Dios Hospital instead, and eventually become a lay preacher. Miskan wala niya nakuha to iyang gipangandoy, at least nabuhat siya lay preacher sa San Juan de Dios Hospital. In 1832, at the age of 18, Hermano organized an organization or confraternity called Hermananda de la Arquecofradia de Glorioso Señor San Jose y de la Virgen del Rosario, also known as Cofradia de San Jose. These organizations were encouraged to consolidate Christianization among natives. Hermano Pol's Cofradia de San Jose started with such characteristic by performing acts of charities and conducting different religious activities. The confraternity began as a relatively small organization, to the point that the Archbishop of Manila did not place it. However, in 1839 to 1840, the confraternity expanded across province in southern Luzon and recruited a considerable number of followers. But the parish of Lakban was alarmed and ordered a raid in one of their gatherings. As a response of this crackdown, Hermano Pol sought official recognition for the confraternity. However, multiple applications were denied and ignored by the authorities. In a review conducted in 1841, the Governor-General was alarmed to notice a clause in the bylaws of Cofradia de San Jose, a ban prohibiting Spanish and mestizos from joining the brotherhood or organization without the personal and unexpressed permission of Hermano Pol. And by this, the Governor-General suspected the organization as rebellion and ordered to arrest Hermano and other leaders of the confraternity. The Cofradia fled town and went into hiding on the slope of Mount San Cristobal in Tayabas. However, in October 1841, Spanish forces attacked the Cofradia, killing hundreds of its members and capturing and executing Hermano Pol. Some historians simply dismiss such act as an irrational response to systematic operation and violence. However, Rinaldo Lito sought to make sense of this act by unraveling the inner history and worldview of the Cofradia through their prayers and hymns. One of the hymns of Dalit of Cofradia de San Jose kept in the Apolinario de la Cruz papers at the Philippines National Archives and examined by Lito was a 42 stanzas poem titled Dalit sa Kaluwalhatian sa Langit ng Karahatan ng Mga Banal. It was not made initially for Cofradia but was appropriated by Paul for the Brotherhood's use. The poem was written in archaic Tagalog as it was made by Fray Pedro de Herrera, one of the earliest Spanish missionaries who wrote in the local language. Some of the stanzas of the Dalit was written below. I will just read the English version of the poem and I will later discuss the meaning of it. Read all the version of the poem. That day most eagerly awaited becomes even more joyful, should be source of fulfillment, be seen with our eyes. The high and lowly, the rich or the poor, they all look alike as God has promised. There is no envy or even arrogance, as all of them are holy, and they love one another. All goodness and truth that men strive toward but never quite attain on earth will be fulfilled in heaven. The light of the sun and the rays of the moon will be poor and dim beside them. There will be no mockery to one be naked and on his back. If he has no sin or evil doing, there is no shame. The sin of the body when there were above lameness, blindness, scars, wounds, toothlessness. Even the fair and rational, the unlearned and the tired, their minds will be fed with higher lessons. They will join by shining angels, they will talk and converse. Martyrs will be acquaintance, virgins will be friends, confessors will be loved, all of them resplendent. Analysis of Cofradia de San Jose, Dalit Kaluwalhatian. As described in the Dalit heaven will be a place where we live in perfect unity. 28 stanzas describe a state where there will be no mockery, truth won't be naked on his back. If has no sin or evil doing, there is no shame. 50 stanzas describes heaven as a place where social position on earth are erased. Thus it reads, high-born or low, rich or poor, all will look alike. This is God's vow. The 8th stanza talk about such equality and unity are further refined with eradication of things that threaten human relationship like envy, anger, arrogance, and selfishness. There is no envy or even arrogance. They are all holy. They are all love one another. The 39th and 40th stanzas talk about divine and holy intimacy that those who ascended into heaven will enjoy. Their companions will be the brilliant angels, with whom there will be dialogue and plain talk. Martyrs will be acquaintances, virgins will be friends, confessors will be loved, all of them resplendent. The Dalit of the Cofradia de San Jose is an essential text that tells of the inner history of those who left the mainstream colonial society and established a spiritual community that was free from imposition and regulation of the Spanish colonial authorities.
Good day everyone, and also Sir Eugene Padino. Our topic is all about selected primary sources on the Philippine Revolution. Before we begin our class discussion, I am Kurt Millard Matar de la Cruz, the third reporter of Lesson 7, and welcome to my report. To remember such as knowledge, here are a few pointers to note, and the first one would be is that the Philippine Revolution is not only important in history but also for those who were under the occasional revolts against the Spaniard and their power. So ang Philippine Revolution is dili lang siya important sa kasaysayan kundi importante siya tungod sa mga tao na na-involve between sa pananakop sa Kastila para makamit nato ang kalayaan. It formed the most crucial organization known as the Kikiki, a secret organization that envisioned a united Filipino nation for the total independence against the Spaniard, yet had internal conflict which cost them the life of their leader Andres Bonifacio. So, upang makamit ang kalayaan, merong organisasyon na nabuo sa Pangulo ni Andres Bonifacio which is ang Kikiki. Tungod sa pikiglaban para makamit nato ang kalayaan, is mauna ang dahilan mauna matay si Andres. As the Ilustrados only demanded equal right and such, the organization created a set of guide that was later on changed by Emilio Jacinto. The cartilla made up of 14 rules followed by member of the group as a code of conduct. So ang Ilustrados is ilang gipangayo is equality or pantay na karapatan individual. So kaning organisasyon is naghimo og 14 ka panununtan nga maoy dapat sundon sa ilahang code of conduct under ni Emilio Jacinto. The cartilla is an invocation against the people regardless of race, occupation, and status, such as the treatment of Europeans to induce it, and it also held women in high regards, emphasizing that they should be honored and respected. So kaning kartilya nagserve as panawagan para sa pagkapantay-pantay sa mga tao even bisan unsa man sila nga lahi, pareha sa pagtrato sa mga Europeo ug mga Indio sa pagpapahalaga sa mga kababaihan which is dapat sila i-respect. The organization grew and soon new leader appeared, one of which was Emilio Aguinaldo. He became Bonifacio rival for the revolution leadership in which he succeeded in 1897. It was also discovered in his memoir the disagreements he had with the Supremo. The memoir also serves as an explanation his action and position in the revolution. Tungod ani is nag-grew ang pagsasama sa mga tao, so naglugwa ang mga leaders which is Emilio Aguinaldo na naging karibal pud ni siya ni Andres Bonifacio adtong Philippine Revolution, din nagsaksis iyahang mga plans adtong 1897. A successful revolution came of the proclamation, the inclusion of events from revolution awakeness the people of what it really looks like to be under the Spaniards. Apparently Rizal took the show with his legacy and work, while no mention of the Katipunan or how it was formed was said. However, the enmity between leaders was no secret. It showed that historical narration of the history reflect on politics and its victory. So naging successful ang revolution tungod ani sa panghitabo is napukaw ang mga tao unsa jud kapait ang pamamahala sa ilang sa mga Kastila, which is nakatabang pud ang works ni Rizal gikan sa pagsuwat niya. So nganong nakatabang man nga nag-uban or halos sa mga Pinoy ato is dili educated. So pinaagi sa work ni Rizal, diba, is pinaagi sa pagsuwat ang mga naay kakayahan mo basa is napukaw and then nag-lead sa mga tao, which is ang mga tao sa una if educated so educated ka, ikaw mo ituuhan nila. So by that na napukaw sila nga dili pantay ang pamumuno sa mga Kastila. However, kaning mga panghitabo between narration sa politics is walay gitagong sekreto ana.
Lesson 8: The Philippines under the United States. Lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, the student will be able to First, describe the Filipino experience of U.S. colonization in World War II. Second, analyze both content and context of representative historical texts from said historical periods. Third, evaluate the historical knowledge derived from primary sources such as petition letters, laws, and visual sources. Fourth, analyze and explain a sampling of visual primary sources from this period. Key concept. We encounter 4 key concept on the lesson 8. First, Commonwealth. Kapag sabihin natin Commonwealth, ito ay isang traditional period na pumalit sa US Island Government na Pilipinas. Ito rin ay isang pampolitikang asosyasyon na may 56 na membrong estado. Ang karamihan sa mga ito ay dating teritoryo ng British Empire. Ang Commonwealth ay isang malayang bansa, komunidad o estado sa loob ng isang republika kabilang ang estado ng US. Ang Pennsylvania ay isang halimbawa ng isang Commonwealth. Philippine Nation. Nangangahulugang ito na ang proseso ng paglalakbay sa mga Pilipino sa mga posisyon ng responsibilidad na nagbibigay sa kanila ng otonomiya hanggat maaari. Ito rin ay isang patakaran ng pagyakap sa katutubong kultura at kontrol ng Pilipinas. Homesteading, isang patakaran ng kolonyal na pamahalaan ng Estados Unidos sa Pilipinas upang akitin ang mga settler mula sa mga mataong lugar upang manirahan sa katimugang Pilipinas na pinaniniwalaan ng kakauntiang populasyon. Kalibapi. Kapag sabihin natin kalibapi, ay isang uri ng organisasyon o grupo na siyang tumangkilik sa mga mananakop na Hapones, ay ang kaisa-isang partidong politikal na umiral noong pananakop ng mga Hapon. Philippine Grievances against Governor General Wood. Ang reklamo ng Pilipinas laban kay Gobernador Wood ay isang dokumentong partikular na inilabas anyo ng isang protesta laban sa Executive Order No. 37 Major General Leonard Wood na United States Army. Mula 1899 nagsilbi siyang gobernador militar ng Cuba hanggang 1902 at mula 1921 nagsilbi siyang gobernador ng Pilipinas hanggang 1927. Noong 1923 binalik ni Gobernador Wood si Ray Conley na inakusahan ng pagtanggap ng suhol mula sa gambling lords. Ang liham ng petisyon na Filipino Grievances laban kay General Wood ay isang pinagsamang resolusyon upang ipahayag ang pagkamuhi ng mga pinunong Pilipino laban kay Gobernador Wood. Inatasan ni Quezon at Roas ang lahat ng nasyonalistas na magbitiw sa kanilang pagiging membro ng mga executive agencies dahil gusto nilang simulan ang pagbito sa mga panukalang batas na ipinasa ng legislatura ng Pilipinas na impluwensyahan nila ang pagpasa ng Harry House Cutting Act. Kaulanan ay tintulan ni Quezon si Roas na pinaniniwalaan na ang batas ay nagkompromiso ang kalayaan ng Pilipinas sa hinaharap. Ang Nationalistas Party ay nati sa pagitan nila sa isyong ito. Pagdating sa petisyon ay nagpapakita ito ng isang kawili-wiling aspeto ng paghahanap ng Pilipinas para sa kalayaan sa panahong ito. Ginagamit ng ilang politiko ang kanilang kasarinlan upang magkaroon ito ng sariling pamahalaan at hindi pinamumunuan ng ibang bansa upang lalo pang palakasin at pagyamanin ang kanilang mga sarili. Kapag sinabi natin ang liham ng petisyon, ito ay isang formal na kahilingan na ginagawa sa isang gumagawa ng desisyon, gobyerno o iba pang pampublikong entity na nilagdaan ng isang individual o isang grupo ng mga tao na sumusuporta sa layunin. Makikita rin sa petisyon ang tiyaga ng mga pinunong Pilipino na hangarin ang kalayaan. Ibinunyag ng petisyon na ito ay isang kawili-wiling aspeto ng paghahanap ng kalayaan ng Pilipinas sa panahong ito.
Public land laws of the United States colonial government. As the Filipinos' motion for independence from the United States gained momentum, From 1899, the Moros yet again resisted another colonization attempt through various ways, such as coto warfare and the practice of sibil. So, unsa ning Moros or kinsa ni Moros? Kinsa ni sila? The Bangsa Moro or Moro people are the native Muslim inhabitants of the Philippines. So, Moro people, sila to mga native Muslim sa Pilipinas. The United States knew that aside from political and armed takeover, the most efficient way to bring the Moros and other indigenous peoples of Mindanao into the fold was through a permanent project, homesteading. So, kabalo ang United States nga aside sa political and armed takeover, ilang most efficient way to bring the Moros into the fold o ang uban nga indigenous peoples sa Mindanao was through a permanent project, homesteading. So unsa ni nga project ang giingon nga ilahang way para sa mga tao dito sa Mindanao para bring to the fold. So, homesteads mean a home and the land around it. So, ilahang project, ang project sa US is homesteading. So, ang US government in the Philippines nag-offer of untitled lands of Mindanao sa mga tao sa Luzon and Visayas para mag-relocate and mag-settle sila sa Mindanao. So, kaning US government sa Pilipinas, offered sila og untitled lands dito sa Mindanao para di atong mga tao sa Luzon o Visayas para mobalhin dito o dito mag-settle na sa Mindanao. So, mauna ni ang Public Land Act of 1903 or PLA. The Public Land Act of 1903 or PLA is composed of 8 chapters and a total of 79 sections. It was enacted on 7 October 1903 by the authority of the United States. So, kaning Public Land Act of 1903 is composed of 8 chapters og total of 79 sections. Mas gipatibay pa ni siya katong October 7, 1903 sa otoridad sa United States. So this was also known as Act number 926 or the Homesteads Act. The complete title of the act was provided in its general description in its first paragraph. This is an act prescribing rules and regulations governing the homesteading, selling, and leasing of portions of the public domain of the Philippine Islands. So, makita ra na dito sa first paragraph ang complete title sa kaning Homesteads Act. Makita dito kung saang naadira sa Homesteads Act. In 1903, other Filipinos and even ordinary Americans were not yet interested in securing certificates or patents in the Moro province as U.S. forces were still occupied with the Moro resistance. Katong panahon na, in 1903, ang uban Filipinos o ang even ordinary Americans were not yet interested. Dili pa sila interesado sa securing certificates or patents in the Moro province, as U.S. forces were still occupied with the Moro resistance. Pero after a decade of politics and violence, the United States claimed sovereignty over the Sulu Sultanate in the 1913 massacre of Bagsak. So, after a decade of politics and violence, ang United States, sila na ang namahala or sila na ang nag-leader over the Sulu Sultanate in the 1913 massacre of Bagsak, which marked the end of the Moro resistance. Visiting the PLA 1903, the United States saw that only a few were applying for homesteads in Mindanao because the area was rural and undeveloped, and the requirements set by PLA 1903 were restricting. So, nabantayan or nakita sa US nga gamay ra ato nag-apply sa homesteads sa Mindanao. Kaya area was rural and undeveloped. O ang requirements nga giset by PLA 1903 or the Public Land Act were restricting. So, they amended the PLA 1903 in 1919 to make homesteading in Mindanao more inviting. From 16 hectares, homesteaders could apply for 24. They were asked to cultivate lesser lands within a longer period. They did not have to scout for property and are supposed to only choose from a list of available lands. For those who had the money, one person can purchase up to 100 hectares. So, kaniadtong homesteading naka-gain pod og momentum. Og ang Filipinos gikan sa Luzon o Visayas ni entered sa Mindanao lands. Pero si kaning Salipada Pindaton, a law student, write an appeal to the US Governor General about Moros being disadvantaged. He suggested that there should be a Moro official appointed to check on injustices that occurred because of the program. Si Pindaton was interesado siya sa homesteading kung nakita niya as a modernization project. However, he condescended on his fellow Moros, suggesting that the state should set aside land for Muslims. Pindaton's way was quite different from Dimakaling, a known defender of Islam in Mindanao by non-elite Muslims who fought the homesteading in Mindanao by killing settlers and officials from the Bureau of Lands, resulting in his death in the late 1930s. A homestead means a house and a farmland that is owned. Legally, it refers to public domain lands that can be acquired through settlement and development. Homesteading, also termed as the pioneering complex, required Filipinos from Luzon and Visayas to have the pioneering zeal and courage to embrace changes in these new lands. So, para sa akong giingon gaina, homesteads means a home and the land around it, or a house and the farmland that is on. Homesteading, also termed as a pioneering complex. So that's all.
Lesson 8. Political caricature of the American era and Japanese wartime visual propaganda. The proliferation of political cartoons and caricatures in media is a rather recent art form. Such art, genre and technique became a part of the print media as a form of social and political commentary. The unique way that a caricature represents the opinion and captures the audience's imagination is reason enough for historians to examine them. So, ang paglaganap ng mga pampolitikang cartoon at karikatura sa media ay isang medyo kamakailang anyo ng sining. Ang ganitong uri ng sining at pamamaraan ay naging bahagi ng print media bilang isang anyo ng komentaryong panlipunan at pampolitika. Ang kakaibang paraan na ang isang karikatura ay kumakatawan sa opinyon ng nakuha ang imahinasyon ng madla ay sapat na dahilan para suriin ng mga historiador ang mga ito. Bagamat sinisiraan bilang isang mapagkukunang pangkasaysayan, ang pagsusuri sa mga propaganda comic strip ay nagpapakita ng mga katotohanan ng lipunang Pilipino sa digmaan. Ang pamamahayag sa Pilipinas ay higit na kontrolado ng mga Hapones na pinahintulutan lamang silang maglathala ng mga isyu sa ilalim ng kanilang kontrol. Political Caricature of the American Era. Sa kanyang aklat na Philippine Cartoons, Political Caricature of the American Era, noong 1900 hanggang 1941, pinagsama-sama ni Alfred McCoy kasama ni Alfredo Roses ang political cartoon na tumitingin sa ilan sa mga cartoon na ito. Tiningnan namin ng mabuti ang mga cartoon na inithala sa mga pahayag ng pahayagan at mga periodiko sa panahon sa itaas. Ang unang halimbawa ay naipublish sa The Independent noong May 20, 1916. Isang politiko mula sa Tondo, pinangalan ng Dr. Santos, pinasa sa kanya ang korona sa kanyang bayaw na si Dr. Barcelona. Isang batang Pilipino na nagnakaw ng payat na manok dahil sa wala na siyang makain dahil sa kahirapan. Saka sinunggaban ng isang lalaking nakasuot ng salakot na may tatak na Juan de la Cruz ang opisyal. Sinasabi niya sa kanya na iwanan ang mga maliliit na mandurukot at magnanakaw. Sa halip ay bumaling sa mga dakilang magnanakaw. Ang Philippine Free ay naglathala ng serye ng mga cartoons tungkol sa mga aksidenteng kinasakutan ng mga kolorom na sasakyan at taksi sa lungsod ng Maynila. The third cartoon ay isang komentaryo sa mga hindi pa naganap na kaso ng mga kamatayan sa pamamagitan ng mapanganib na pagmamaneo ng mga kolorom na sasakyan sa kabisera ng bansa. Particular na sa kalagayan ng mga pag-atake ng terorismo sa Paris. The fourth cartoon. Sa serye ay nagpapakita ng isang pulis na pinipigilan ang mag-asawa sa paghalik at pag-iibigan sa isang sinehan. The next cartoon is na inilathala ng Independent noong November 27, 1915 ay nagpapakita kay Uncle Sam na nakasakay sa isang kalisa na hinihila ng mga Pilipinong nakasuot ng uniforme sa paaralan. Ang mga batang Pilipino ay may dalang mga bagay na Amerikano tulad ng baseball bat, whiskey at boxing gloves. Ang karton na ito ay batay sa isang kaganapan noong 1907 nang si William Howard Taft ay dinala sa pier ng Maynila sa pamamagitan ng kalisa. Inilathala ng Lip ang Alaba ang huling karton noong 24 Agosto 1907. Inilarawan ng karton na ito ang pagtangkilik sa Estados Unidos ng mga politiko mula sa alinmang partido. Sa larawan, nagrarasyon si Uncle Sam ng lugaw sa mga politiko at miyembro ng Progresista Party. Minsan, kilala bilang Federalista Party. Propaganda comic strips in the Tribune. Nahulog ito sa kamay ng mga Hapones at naging sentrong organo ng kanilang propaganda noong panahon ng digmaan. Noong panahon ng mga Amerikano, ito ay anti-Quezon at anti-Amerikano dahil ito ay maka-Pilipinas. Itinampok din dito ang ilang comic strip na ang layunin ay hindi lamang makapaglibang, kundi upang makuha ang puso ng mga Pilipino na suportahan ang layunin ng Japan. Ang panel sa itaas ay mula sa isang comic strip series na nilikha ng isang Pilipino cartoonist na nangangalang Rose Inilabas noong 23 Agosto 1942. Hayat ng strip ang mga Pilipino na matuto ng wikang Hapon. Maaring ito ay isang lihim na wika para sa mga mahilig o isang paraan upang palawakin ang negosyo sa pamamagitan ng pagtutustos ng mga customer ng Japanese. Ang comic strip na ito ay mula sa sering Kalibapi Family. Ito ay nilikha ni Tony Velasquez, kilala rin bilang ama ng Pilipinong comics. Sa isyong ito, ginising ni Nene ang kanyang nakabatang kapatid na si Tote para gawin ang taiso, isang programa ng calisthenics sa madaling araw ng Japanese Imperial Government. Ang isa pang strip mula sa Kalibapi Family na inilabas noong 7 Disyembre 1943 ay nagtampok sa tiyuhin ni Nene, si Tiyo Taiso. Sa isang karinderya, hindi makapaniwalang bulalas niya sa kamahalan ng isang pagkain. Umorder pa rin siya at habang kumakain narinig niya ang usapan ng ilang dumadaan. Ang transisyon mula sa panahon ng kolonyal ng Espanya hanggang sa panahon ng pananakop ng mga Amerikano ay nagpapakita ng iba't ibang hibla ng mga pagbabago at pagbabago ng kultura, lipunan at politika. Ang mataas na uri ng prinsipalya ay nakaranas ng kaunlarang pang-ekonomiya sa bukas ng ekonomiya ng Pilipinas sa Estados Unidos. Ang karamihan sa mahirap na Pilipino ay nanatiling mahirap, desperado at nabiktima ng panunupil ng Estado. Sa seryeng ito ng mga cartoons, makikita natin ang presyong ibinayad ng mga Pilipino para sa demokrasya na ahuwaran sa mga Amerikano. Sa politika, ang esensya ng mga nakikipagkumpetensyang partido upang ipatupad ang mga nagpipilian sa mga botante ay nakansila. Naging maimpluwensya at makapangyarihan ang patronage sa pagitan ng mga kliyente at patron at sa pagitan ng mga bagong tatag na partidong pampolitika na binubuo ng mga piling tao at ng Estados Unidos. Ang transisyon mula sa isang katolikong nakasentro, Espanyol-Pilipino na lipunan tungo sa isang Imperial US assimilated, isa ay itinatanghal sa mga cartoons. Isang halimbawa ay ang pagdami ng mga sasakyang dimotor sa lungsod. Gayunpaman, ang mga batas at nagpapatupad ng katakaran ay katamtaman na nagresulta sa paglitaw ng dumaraming kolorum at walang lisensyang mga sasakyan. Sa panahon ng digmaan, lalo na sa mga huling panahon ng pananakop, nang ang Japan ay natalo sa marami sa mga labanan nito at sa kalaunan sa digmaan. Ang mga Filipino comic strips na naglalarawan ng buhay noong ikalawang digmaang pandaigdig ay mababasa bilang propaganda para sa mga Hapones o bilang isang kritika laban sa kawalan ng kakayahan ng mga Hapones na makakuha ng mga rasyon ng pagkain tulad ng bigas sa panahon ng digmaan. Ang mismong likas na katangian ng mga material na propaganda na ito ay nabibigay daan sa maraming interpretasyon at kahulugan. Ang visual source na ito ay magbibigay daan sa atin upang mapulot ang mga katotohanan ng buhay para sa mga Pilipino noong World War II sa bansa.